like the desk like this?
Because all of these are different seats from different times in our history. All of the desks are donated from different schools, from different people. You're sitting at a desk that has a little plaque that tells a story. Would you like to try to read that? I'll help you if you can't.
It's from a one-room schoolhouse near Burwell, Nebraska, donated by Russ Carrick. His father was
Assigned.
assigned the seat as a child.
So that's how old this is, and it's all the way from Nebraska. And Russ Carrick was one of the Minutemen and militia who helped rebuild the schoolhouse on this site. And on the way up, I'm going to show you all of the names of the Minutemen and militia who still meet here. You can probably see their desk over there, their place, and they still meet in the schoolhouse. So your name is Deanna. I'm going to ask you to be my first help. Please come up. All right, I told you my name is Miss Nancy. Why wouldn't I say Mrs. Ferretti, which is my married name? Anybody know? What do you think?
Because that was your name on the sheet.
Yes, you could not be married and teach. You had to be a single lady. And what would happen is, you can do that after. You can start to read this, because I'm going to ask you to read it. Read it to yourself, and then I'll help you out. Because Miss Nancy, or whoever was the school teacher, used to come up from Salem. You know where that is? Salem, Massachusetts. Used to come up. You have to go visit there sometime. It has a lot of history. And they would come from Salem. They would go to Salem State, Salem Normal School it was called then. And they would get on the train, and they would come to North Reading. Can you get on the train from Salem to North Reading today? You can. I just saw
That
you.
was it on the top.
Is there a train in North Reading, third graders?
No, but if some of you have been down to Railroad Avenue, it's right down Havel Street, behind the Riders Store, you will see an old railroad bed, and that's why it's called Railroad Avenue. And it also goes up behind Switch River Park. I know all of you know where Switch River Park is. Yes, the game's there. And in the wintertime, it's a wonderful railroad bed. It's a wonderful place to go snowshoeing or cross-country skiing. So next time you're out and about, notice where Railroad Avenue is. And so Miss Nancy, actually one of the first school teachers' name was Miss Clara. She would come up from Salem, and she would have to stay at one of your homes. And she'd have to stay there between Sunday night and Friday, and she would finally go back and have a weekend to herself. So not only would you have the teacher in school, you might have the misfortune to have the teacher at home also. Oops. Question?
If you turn off the bathroom, where would you go?
Well, I have something for you. I'm glad you got that question. This used to be called pudding for pudding, but it wasn't like chocolate, yummy, yummy chocolate pudding. It was more like, kind of almost like a mash. But there was this lady that was very famous for making pudding, so and she'd bring it to the school children. And so this was called Pudding Point School. And who asked that question? Your name is?
Michael.
Michael. Stand up, Michael. Michael, can you read what that says?
Pudding Point School, Private.
Privy, standing for privacy. So do you think you could answer that question, your own question, where they went? Stay put. Open this up. Got an idea now? Oh, somebody got it. What do you think?
And then?
Yes, it would be a privy for privacy for privy is a short way of saying privacy. And so it would be kind of like your porta potties that you would have today. All right? So thank you. Come on up. You can help us out here. All right, would you please, are you looking around to see the differences? All right, she's going to be our first reader. Go ahead, you got to point to it.
West Village.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey, it's hers.
West Village School. Original school.
17.
1840.
All right, is anybody really good in math? Could you figure that out that quickly? How many years that was?
Yeah.
You could? Tell me.
It would be 40s. I mean,
You're close.
it would be.
Add another 10 years.
It would be 50.
54 years, right, 54 years. So it was, that's where it was. Come on up, look at it. Location, area, year, farm, Dean Street. And go ahead.
The school burned in 1840.
Okay, so that's why it was only until 1840. Why do you suppose that so many schools burned down? Why would they burn down? Anybody think? You answered another question. Go ahead.
It's not really hard.
Oh, you're thinking of a hurricane. All right. Let me see. Would you walk up to that strange looking thing that's right next to the flag? It was a wood burning stove. And there was no fire engines. So the teacher would have to get you out quickly and hopefully throw a bucket of water on it. All right? And I forgot to do something which is called morning exercises. Do you do morning exercises?
Sometimes.
But I don't mean, you know what kind of exercise? I don't mean this kind of exercise. I mean the opening to the school day. Do you?
Well, we do say the Pledge of Allegiance on Fridays, actually.
All right, well then with that,
We do it, so.
that lovely young lady whose name is
Brianna.
Brianna, would you come up here and hold this flag so you can see that? And then I'm going to have this wonderful choir of people help me sing.
And I apologize, Mrs. Lee, I forgot to help us wear name tags. I had them on my desk and I forgot.
I hate it when that happens.
I'm very sorry.
That's all right. It does happen to all of us. Now, would you hold out that flag? Probably the best way to keep it this way. Boys and girls, would you please stand up? Would you help us all say the Pledge of Allegiance? Lead us in it. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'm hoping, you have to stand up. I'm hoping that we have some wonderful singers in this class. We did the class. Sing My Country, 'Tis, not tears, 'tis of thee. This is of thee. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, proudly I sing. And where my fathers died, and rock and pilgrims ride, from every mountainside, every offering. Thank you for helping me. Thank you.
This school, built between 1840 to 1840.
1840 to 1844. It's hard to read that, isn't it?
Yeah. Location, northwest corner of Park and Main.
Excuse me, anybody know where that is? how many people go to CVS? It was right next door to CVS, where Eastgate Liquors is now. And it turned out to be, actually it ended up being a gas station of all things, and all of this was in complete disarray. And the Minutemen, when they were going to tear it down, the Minutemen militia said, we're going to tear it down ourselves. We're going to take all of the materials, all the wood, the windows, the beams, and we're going to store them, and we're going to rebuild the West Village School. So that's what you're in today, is the West Village School. All right, thank you. Good job. Who is next? Was it you? All right, you said it.
It survived as a school for about 60 years, 1980 through 1994.
It's not easy. Would you take out finishing reading that, please? Good. Yep. And I'll help you.
The building was
That's a hard word. You got it.
dismantled,
Mantle. Taken apart.
moved, and reassembled on this site.
Good for you. I think you might be the only third grader that got this word, reassembled. That might be a good spelling word. Nobody else got that. Good for you. Good for you. All right. So how long did you figure that out? My math person. You figured out 54. Can you figure out how many years it took them to rebuild this and set this up? I'm sorry. I looked at it wrong. Right here.
14.
14. And this was 4. It took them 4 years to build this original school. Then it took them 14 to get this together. So you can see the difference. Thank you very much. Good work. Good work. All right. This says, our youth should be taught to act from principle rather than impulse. And the school committee sent this to all the schools in 1887. And it means, what do you think? Think before you act. Look before you leap. Think before, somebody said think before you speak. All the above apply. I'm going to send this to your teacher and you can figure out what that means in class. One of the things that you might be interested in before we go over to that area is that the teachers, after about 5 years, they might, if they were really good teachers, like I know your teacher is, they might get 25 cents raise. They also had to work about 10 hours a day, and they would have to light the stove, or light the kerosene lamps, bring buckets of water, do all kinds of things like that. Yes? That's a second reader. All right, that means year 2 and 3. You would probably be reading that book. Also, before you go, you notice that you have slates and chalk. You used to have chalk. That's what you would write on. And also, you would have somebody. I think somebody must have taken my quill, but you could get quills out of birds, and you would make. All right, you have an inkwell in it. And you would make things that way. That's how you would write. And the naughty boys would often take little girls' hair with ponytails and stick to them. They don't have to give you any ideas. All right. I would like the boys to stand up. Good for you. You're all going to make a circle, and you're going to make a circle around. She looks like a good volunteer. Make a circle and you're going to turn your right shoulder in. Now you have been such a good listener. Could you please pick a day? We usually do all of the days, but we don't have time. So what day would you like to pick to do an activity? That's it. What do you think? You all have been
So boys, do you have right shoulder should be in? So for you guys, this
Could you come here, please?
this shoulder
would you pick a day that you would like to do an activity out of these days? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What would you pick?
I'm excited.
Isn't that funny? Most third graders did pick Friday.
Milk the cow.
All right, now you're going to have to show us. All right, he's going to get this center, and you're going to make this circle around him. But you're going to stay. All right, we'll turn your right shoulder in. All right, show us how we're going to milk the cow, please. Go ahead, take a chance. Right? I know it's embarrassing, right? That everybody had to do that. What do you think you had to do before you came to school each day? Otherwise, you wouldn't drink any milk. All right? What did you pick? Thursday. She's going to mend the clothes. All right? How are you going to mend them? Get out the sewing machine? How do you think? Got it? Got that action, boys? Got that action? All right. Now try very hard to make a circle. Got it? Got it? I shall write. Set. I'm seeing up the cow. I'm seeing up the cow. We're going to do the action. We're going to milk the cow and walk at the same time. I'll stay in the circle. All right, we're going to keep the beat. I'm going to keep the beat. Are you set? You set? What day is it?
Friday.
Friday. This is the way we milk the cow, milk the cow, milk the cow. This is the way we milk the cow. Stop! You get in the circle. Where is she? Courtney, get in the circle. You're going to have to do it. Get them in. Get them in. You would only have one set of clothes. One Sunday go to meeting clothes and one clothes to go to school. Let's go. In your clothes, in your clothes. This is the way we do the clothes. Great. Since you have such a good personality, would you please lead us out? We're going to go to church. Mrs. Romeo told you perhaps that that's the reason Daniel Putnam, Reverend Putnam came here, because we had a place for him to live and could start a church. All right? Which was the meeting house at one time. We set. We're going to follow up that way. We're going to go to church, and on the way out, I want you to look at the names of the Minutemen, because you might know some. All right? Set. So we go to church. The original Minutemen from our bicentennial, which was 1976. All right? So Philip O'Brien, Frank Romeo, Gordon Hall, Mark Hall built the Raya store down here. You all know Raya store, I know that. And so there are other names there that maybe some of you might recognize. One is Robert Parker, and if you notice on the way up the hill, you're going to see something that says Robert Parker Way, and that's named after him. And this is the Declaration of Independence. Thank you, class. You've been wonderful.
Thank you, Miss Nancy.
Come on out. Line up for the teacher.
Come on,